So I want to start, first of all, talking a little bit about coronavirus. This is affecting everybody. And so I think it's important that we take time to think over these things. I see two extremes that are going on. There's people that are looking at it and saying, we're overthinking this, we're making it too much of a big deal, seeing that ultimately at this point, there's less people that have died from coronavirus than there has been from this year's flu. And I understand that. And then there's the other extreme of the people that are buying all the toilet paper and buying all the other supplies and keeping grocery stores really happy business-wise as the one business that's probably thriving in the midst of everything that's going on. So I think there's a balance that, first of all, as Christians, that we need to be striking in this, that we need to realize this is unforeseen. God saw this coming. He's not surprised by it in any way or any form. And so in that sense, we can rest assured that this is going to be taken care of. And that's not to say, I don't want to also, in that, we need to strike the balance of realizing that doesn't mean everything's going to be hunky-dory. I think there's reason to see this as worse than probably anything that we've seen in the past. But like anything, I think what I see more and more just in the Christian life in general, with about any issue, there's a balance that we're supposed to strike with things. And this is no different example in that. So a couple things that I want to just throw out there. First of all, one of the things that I've come across that I think helps to put this a little bit into perspective is this statement made by a Dr. Sharkawi. His name is Abdu Sharkawi, and he's an expert in this. And this is what he had to say. He says, "I'm a doctor and an infectious disease specialist. I've been at this for more than 20 years, seeing sick patients on a daily basis. I've worked in the inner city hospitals in the poorest slums of Africa. HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, TB, SARS, measles, shingles, whooping cough, diphtheria. There is little I haven't been exposed to in my profession. And with notable exception of SARS, very little has left me feeling very vulnerable, overwhelmed, or downright scared. I'm not scared of COVID-19. I am concerned about the implications of a novel infectious agent that has spread the world over and continues to find new footholds in different soil. I am rightly concerned for the welfare of those who are elderly, in frail health, or disenfranchised, who stand to suffer mostly and disproportionately at the hands of this new scourge. But I am not scared of COVID-19. What I am scared is about the loss of reason and wave of fear that has induced the mass of society into a spellbinding spiral of panic, stockpiling obscene quantities of anything that could fill a bomb shelter adequately in a post-apocalyptic world." We're talking toilet paper. I'm scared of N95 masks that are stolen from hospitals and urgent care clinics where they are actually needed for front-of-the-line healthcare providers instead of being donned in airports, malls, and coffee lounges, perpetuating even more fear and suspicion of others. I don't know if you've seen lately in the news, some of those in Hollywood have even been donning full-scale hazmat suits. I think that's going a little to the extreme. I'm scared that our hospitals will be overwhelmed with anyone who thinks they probably don't have it, but may as well get checked no matter what, because you just never know. And those with heart failure, emphysema, pneumonia, and strokes will pay the price for the overfilled ER waiting rooms with only so many doctors and nurses to assess. I'm scared that travel restrictions will become so far-reaching that weddings will be canceled, graduations missed, and family reunions will not materialize. And well, even that big party, the Olympic Games, that could be kiboshed too. Can you even imagine? I'm scared those same epidemic fears will limit trade, harm partnerships in multiple sectors, business and otherwise, and ultimately culminate in global recession. But mostly, I'm scared about what message we are telling our kids, and when faced with a threat. Instead of reason, rationality, and open-mindedness and altruism, we are telling them to panic, be fearful, suspicious, reactionary, and self-interested. COVID-19 is nowhere near over. It will be come into a city, a hospital, a friend, even a family member near you at some point. Expect it. Stop waiting to be surprised further. The fact is the virus itself will not likely do much harm when it arrives, but our own behaviors and fight for yourself above all else attitude could prove disastrous. I implore you all, temper fear with reason, panic with patience, uncertainty with education. We have the opportunity to learn a great deal about health, hygiene, and limiting the widespread, innumerable transmission of disease in our society. Let's meet this challenge together in the best spirit of compassion for others, patience, and above all, an unfailing effort to seek truth, facts, and knowledge as opposed to conjecture, speculation, catastrophizing. Facts, not fear. Clean your hands, open hearts. Our children will thank us for it. So I think that puts things, in my view, a lot in perspective, just realizing, yeah, this is going to affect everyone. At one point or another, this is going to be somehow affecting you personally, whether it's a fear that you have of gaining it yourself, or if you're someone who's younger and healthy, probably someone you know and you love and you care about. But in the midst of that, our fear in some ways might end up being the thing that causes the biggest harm in the midst of this. We're seeing huge impacts economically, even just talking about, he hints at the Olympics maybe being shut down. That's a huge economic blow to Japan if that would end up happening, with March Madness being canceled, with the NBA canceled. All of these sort of things are having a huge impact. Any state that has a huge amount of tourist things that happen, it's just going to be hugely affected. And so this is probably going to have a bigger impact in some ways, possibly, in our economy than anything else. And so one of the things that I've realized in this is, as I look at it on a personal level, realizing that I have friends that have a business here locally that is a restaurant, for instance, that I really love and I support. And I honestly just don't eat out very much, so I don't go there very often. But as I'm feeling well and healthy, I'm going to probably try to get a few of my well and healthy friends to go visit, so long as they're staying open, to just support their business. Because in the midst of this, especially small businesses are going to have a hard hit in the midst of this. And whatever we can do to support them in that, I think is a great opportunity. And so I think this is another thing that I look at with this, that as Christians we need to be looking at, is how can we take advantage of this as a way to reach out to the people around us. One of the things I'm also hoping to do is I'm hoping to go put some flyers just around my neighborhood of just, hey, if you need somebody to do the groceries for you, let me know. I'm willing to go out and go get it for you. If you're worried about doing that, I'll drop them off and spray them with Lysol and run away, so you don't have to worry about it having any sort of effect to you in that sort of way. But I think it can be a really great way that we can reach out and show people that as Christians, as believers, we know God has got us, and to live in hope and in faith rather than in fear in the midst of this. And there is a reality. I had a meeting just earlier today talking with some of the other leaders of the kind of 2030s group within my church, and just deciding, man, it's hard to really even say, should we even be meeting even for small groups, knowing that it's not necessarily us at our age that we're worried about health-wise, but hey, if I were to have it, and you don't necessarily always know when you do, if I were to have it and then pass it on to somebody else in that small group, and then that person interacts with their grandma or someone like that, that can be a big risk. And so we do have to keep these things in perspective, but to realize, hey, we need to look at this in hope, and we need to be trusting in the midst of it. And I think that's an important thing as well. I think one other point that I want to just look at is, I've seen on Facebook a lot of people trying to make this political, that somehow I've seen people say it's the Democrats that have put this out almost as some way to spoil the plans of Trump. I don't really understand the logic there. I'm not sure where they're thinking that, shutting down Italy is somehow going to help the Democrats. And I've seen the reverse on the other hand, where Democrats are claiming that somehow, or Republicans are claiming that somehow Democrats are responsible. Democrats claiming that Republicans are responsible. Nobody's benefiting, I think, politically from this. And so I think it's better to stay away from these conspiracies, as that article that I just read you said from the doctor. Explore the facts, look at best as how we can understand this, and then most of all, how can we use this to reach out and to love people around us and hopefully open a door to share the gospel with them.